9 grass-fed beef brands that aren't really grass-fed, and 4 that truly are. If you've ever stood in the meat aisle, seen the words grass-fed on a package of beef, felt good about your choice, and paid the higher price with confidence, this video is going to change how you shop. Quick honest disclaimer first. Everything here is based on publicly available labeling rules, how the cattle industry actually works, and my own opinion as someone who reads labels for a living. I'm not accusing any single company of anything illegal. I'm showing you how the words on the package function, so you can decide for yourself. Stick around, because the gap between what grass-fed sounds like and what it often means is bigger than almost anything else in the store. Let's start with the single most important fact, the one that unlocks everything else. Every single cow raised for beef starts its life eating grass. That's just how cattle are raised. Calves are on pasture with their mothers, grazing. So here's the loophole that sits at the center of this entire topic. Because every cow eats grass at the start, the phrase grass-fed on its own can technically apply to almost any beef, even beef from a cow that spent its final months in a feedlot being fattened on grain. Read that again, because it's the whole game. Grass-fed does not automatically mean the cow ate only grass its whole life. The phrase that actually means what you picture is grass-finished, or 100% grass-fed. Finishing is the last stage of a cow's life, the fattening stage before slaughter. In conventional beef, cattle are moved to feedlots and finished on grain, corn, soy, to fatten them quickly and marble the meat. Grass-finished means the animal ate grass and forage for its entire life, all the way through that final stage, never switched to grain. That is the real thing. And here's the trick. A package can say grass-fed in big letters while the animal was grain-finished, and unless it specifically says grass-finished or 100% grass-fed, you have no way to know from the front label. The missing word is the entire difference. Let me walk you through the label patterns that aren't what they appear to be. I'm describing patterns, not naming specific companies, because recognizing the pattern is what actually protects you. Pattern 1. Grass-fed with no grass-finished anywhere on the package. The most common one by far. Bold, grass-fed on the front, and nowhere does it say grass-finished or 100%. That silence is the tell. A producer who finishes on grass will almost always say so loudly, because it costs them more and it's their whole selling point. Pattern 2. Grass-fed grain-finished, spelled out honestly but quietly. Some brands actually do tell you the cow was grain-finished. In small print, on the back, in a spot most people never read. Ironically, these can be the more honest ones, but the shopper who only reads the front still walks away misled by their own quick glance. Pattern 3. The pasture photography with no matching claim. Green rolling hills, a cow in a field, a barn at sunset. Beautiful imagery, and then no actual grass-finished sourcing claim to back it up. The picture sells the story the words won't commit to. Pattern 4. Natural beef. This one fools a lot of people. On beef, natural is a very weak term that basically refers to minimal processing after slaughter. No artificial ingredients added to the meat. It says nothing about how the animal was raised or what it ate. Natural and grass-fed are completely different claims, and a package can wave natural around to feel wholesome, while the cow was grain-finished in a feedlot. Pattern 5. No hormones or no antibiotics, standing in for grass-fed. These are real claims and some people care about them, but notice what's happening. The package highlights what the cow didn't get, to distract from the question of what it did eat. A hormone-free feedlot cow finished on grain is still grain-finished. Don't let one virtuous-sounding claim answer a different question. Pattern 6. The vague origin premium look. A rustic brand name, a family farm image, a heritage story, all implying old-fashioned pasture raising, without an explicit grass-finished claim. The vibe does the persuading. Pattern 7. Grass-fed on ground beef blends. Ground beef can be a mix from many animals and even many sources. A grass-fed claim on ground beef is only as trustworthy as the sourcing behind it, and it's a lot harder to verify than a single cut. Be extra skeptical here. Pattern 8. Imported grass-fed with a quiet finishing story. A lot of genuinely grass-fed beef is imported from countries where cattle graze year-round, and much of that is excellent. But product of multiple countries or vague origin combined with a grass-fed claim deserves the same question: finished on grass or just started on it? Pattern 9. The price that's too good. Real, fully grass-finished beef is more expensive to produce. It takes longer to raise the animal, and it needs a lot of good pasture. If a grass-fed beef is priced right down near conventional feedlot beef, that low price is a question worth asking. Genuine grass-finished beef rarely comes cheap. Let me give you something you can actually see and taste, because the meat itself tells a story if you know how to read it. Grass-finished beef usually looks different. The fat tends to be more yellow rather than pure white, because those same natural pigments from fresh forage that show up in grass-fed butter also show up in the fat of grass-finished cattle. Grain-finished beef typically has whiter fat and heavier marbling, those fine ribbons of fat running through the muscle, because grain finishing is specifically designed to produce that marbling. Grass-finished beef is often leaner, with a deeper red color to the muscle, and it cooks a little faster and can taste more mineral, more savory, a bit more like the animal actually ate plants. None of this is a perfect test on its own, but yellowish fat plus leaner meat plus an honest grass-finished label is a very consistent combination. Uniform white fat and heavy marbling on something claiming to be grass-fed is at least worth a second look. And let me address the health angle honestly, because the marketing tends to oversell it and I won't. There is real evidence that grass-finished beef has a somewhat different fat composition, often a better ratio of certain fats and more of some beneficial compounds, compared to grain-finished. That's genuine, but I'm not going to tell you it's medicine or that grain-finished beef is going to hurt you, because the honest science is more modest than the health halo marketing suggests. The differences are real, but not dramatic. So the reason to seek out true grass-finished beef isn't fear of regular beef. It's that if you value those differences and you're paying extra for them, you should actually get them instead of paying a premium for a feedlot animal in disguise. Now the red flags, in plain usable form. Red flag 1. Grass-fed appears, but grass-finished or 100% grass-fed does not. Missing words mean the weaker meaning. Red flag 2. Natural, no hormones, or no antibiotics, being used as if they answer the grass-fed question. They don't. Red flag 3. Pasture imagery with no sourcing words to match. Red flag 4. A grass-fed claim on ground beef with no clear source or certification. Red flag 5. A grass-fed price suspiciously close to conventional beef. Let me be fair here, because I always am. Grain-finished beef is not poison. Most beef sold is grain-finished, and people have eaten it for generations. If you don't care about the grass question, buy what you like. This isn't about fear. It's about one simple thing. If you are choosing to pay a premium specifically for grass-fed beef, you should actually receive grass-fed beef, not a feedlot animal wearing a grass-fed label. Getting what you pay for is the entire mission. So here are the 4 types that truly are the real thing. Real 1. Beef labeled 100% grass-fed, or grass-fed and grass-finished. Those exact words are the gold standard. That specific language commits the producer to a much stronger, more accountable claim than a bare grass-fed. This single check filters out most of the pretenders. Real 2. Beef with genuine third-party certification for grass-fed standards. There are independent programs that audit how cattle were actually raised and finished. A real certification seal, audited by someone outside the company, means the claim was verified, not just printed. That external check is exactly what a vague front label is missing. Real 3. Beef from a named local farm or rancher you can actually trace. Buying from a local farm, a farmer's market, or a rancher who tells you plainly how they finish their cattle gives you something no supermarket label can: a real person accountable for a real answer. When someone will look you in the eye and say, "Grass their whole lives," that's about as solid as it gets. Real 4. Genuinely grass-finished imported beef from pasture-based systems, clearly labeled. Some countries raise cattle on grass year-round as the default, and beef from those systems, when it's clearly labeled grass-finished, is often the real deal and sometimes more affordable than domestic grass-finished. The key is still that word, finished, not just started, on grass. Here's your shelf routine. Pick up the beef. Hunt for the exact words 100% grass-fed or grass-finished. If they're there, you're good. If all you see is a plain grass-fed with a pretty farm picture, some natural and no hormones badges, and no finishing claim, know that you might be paying premium for feedlot beef. Look for a real certification seal, or buy from a source you can actually trace. That's the whole skill. And here's the mindset to carry out with you. None of this is a cartoon conspiracy. It exists because grass-fed commands a higher price. The rules around the phrase are loose, and finishing cattle on grass genuinely costs the rancher more money and more time. The incentive is to capture the premium price with the cheaper practice, using words that technically survive scrutiny. There's no business model in spelling out the weaker truth when the vaguer claim sells for more. But you're not shopping the front of the package anymore. You're hunting for one word, finished, and that word is a test no marketing team can wriggle around. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because on this channel, we keep pulling the thread until you can see the whole system clearly. Next time you're at the meat counter, you won't be shopping on a feeling. You'll be shopping on the facts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.